an incredible night for your Phoenix Suns. What an incredible night for Devin, Armani, Booker. What a great game from DeAndre Ayton. And well, everybody, sorry to cut it short, but that's the show. That's all I wanted to talk about. I guess we'll see you guys next time. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Check out my guy, Super Mario Hoops channel, because that's the show, the quickest live stream ever in Suns Geeks history. But no, for real, you guys, incredible game. We're going to be diving all into it, but we're going to wait a few minutes or a couple minutes, just let some people join. But I am joined by a friend of the channel, Super Mario Hoops. Besides the loss tonight, how you doing, man?
Doing pretty good. Not too bad. I kind of got to sleep in today, so that was good.
Same here, man. Yeah.
And I don't know. I feel like it was just kind of like a chill day. So you always love one of those. But yeah.
Did you have a good Thanksgiving with the family?
I did. We did a lot of stuff. Did some Black Friday shopping. Got to see some Christmas lights over the weekend too. I saw Wakanda Forever. I don't know if you've seen that yet or not, but
but what did you think about it?
It was pretty good. I don't want to spoil it, but it is like just really. I feel like the whole movie is just pretty depressing.
Yeah, I'm kind of scared to watch it.
Yeah, but that's as far as I'll say. I don't want to like ruin people from seeing it. Like go out there and see it.
Right. Appreciate that, man. So real quick before we get started, you and I just had a newest episode of your Bullony basketball series. Do you want to tell people, where to find you and maybe tell people a little bit about what we talked about?
Yeah. So obviously last night, me and Suns Geek recorded my latest episode for Bullony basketball. It's on my channel. It uploaded today, about, I don't know, like 8-9 hours ago or something like that. But go check it out. I know you guys love to hear about the Suns, of course. We do talk about the Suns over there.
Yep.
We also talk about some other things like the Celtics. We talk about Dwight Howard, who turned into Superman again in Taiwan. Talk a little bit about the Mavericks and Kemba Walker. And then we play a little game at the end, which overall, I think it was a pretty good episode. So, after this is done, I'm sure you guys will want to hear more from us and you'll be like, oh, no, the live stream ended. It's okay because you can listen to about 45 more minutes.
It's pretty much like another live stream.
Yeah, it's like a dual live stream. So definitely go check that out after we're done over here. But yeah.
Go check out my guy, Supermariohoops24. All right, man. Now that all that's out of the way, let's talk about this game, also known as Devin Booker's incredible performance, also known as DeAndre Ayton's, 7th straight double-double, and a pretty clean, easy victory for the most part for the Phoenix Suns. There were a few times the Bulls kind of crept back into this game, a few runs here and there, but this game was over pretty comfortably, especially even before the third quarter ended when Devin Booker had 51 points. So before we talk about Devin Booker, I got to play the drop that I made before the last time you were on, this didn't exist. I got to work a little bit and made these cheesy but kind of cool drops. So let's play the drop for 51 points, Devin Booker.
Devin Armani Booker.
And before we talk about Devin Booker, I got to crack open a beer. And you know what? If I was Devin Booker tonight, I would crack open one too. I think you're drinking water over there. Everybody in the chat, let us know what you're drinking tonight. And yeah, cheers to Devin Booker, man. And you know what, Super Mario Hoops, if I can just go on a quick little rant, and feel free to cut me off at any moment here.
Go ahead.
Look, whether you're a Suns fan, new or old, it's pretty easy to be happy for Devin Booker right now. But as somebody who's been watching this team for years, for as long as I can remember, especially from a content creator's point of view, just seeing what Devin Booker is doing right now is it's fantastic. But at the same time, it doesn't surprise me, but I mean that in the highest compliment that I possibly can. It doesn't surprise me. Like, he has been doing this night in and night out for years now. And the guy is a superstar. And I really was trying to push that on Twitter tonight. And I'm not trying to like get revenge on the social media trolls, because I know that there's tons of them out there. But I was just trying to remind people how great Devin Booker is. I'm not saying he's the MVP this year, although he's playing like one right now. And I'm sure you and I could have a whole conversation on that. He is an MVP candidate. He's definitely going to be an all-star this year. And again, he does this night in and night out. And it's just so easy. You know how they say for Steph Curry, it's Steffortless? Like, it is just so easy for Devin Booker right now. And I just wanted to go on that little rant and just say that, I've been watching him since his first NBA game with the Phoenix Suns all the way back in 2015, just to see his growth. And something we're going to kind of talk about later too is his maturity. He's probably one of the most mature people in the NBA. It's just been fantastic. So just real quick, man, just your opening thoughts, reaction. If you want to talk about Booker first, you can. I know we're going to get to the Bulls rant later. Don't worry, that's coming. But just your opening thoughts, reaction, anything you saw. What's on your mind, man?
Yeah, I'll start with what I saw from Booker. So it's kind of funny that you said, all that, not how like for Booker, he's gotten to a point where he's a superstar level player. Literally today on Twitter, I was just saying how they were showing this thing. It was like, these are the 9 best players in the league. We can all agree, right? I
saw that.
And I'm like, I would remove, like, they had LeBron in there. And I'm like, if you want to remove Kawhi right now, you can, because, I mean, it seems like he only plays every other game. And I said I'd throw in Mitchell and Booker in that mix right now. So, like, that's me personally. I feel like he's kind of elevated himself to another level. And when you said, like, things are coming easier to him, it reminded me, I think that's exactly what, if you're familiar with Coach Evan from the He's on Fire podcast, when I had him on Bullony basketball, he said, like, things are just coming so easy to Devin Booker, and like teams need to like watch out because he's kind of taking like that next leap. And I mean, that's basically everything you saw today. And I was looking too, because, as a Bulls fan, I mean, I know a lot of times, like when someone puts up a great performance against us, it's pretty rare that someone puts up like a 50-point game on the Bulls.
Right.
In fact, this is only the 17th time someone has scored 50 against the Bulls, and they played like 4,500 games. So that's about once every 267 games. I did the math. So that's literally once every more than 3 seasons that someone drops 50 on us. So that's pretty rare. And also with Devin Booker tonight, he's done this before where he's dropped 45. So this is his second 45-point game against the Bulls. The only other players to do that multiple times were Adrian Dantley did it 3 times against the Bulls, and Rick Barry did it twice. So he's the only person to do it in the last like 30 or so years. So I just think like he's definitely an elite company. He's playing with, I think, way more patience as he gets more and more into his prime. And I think like what you're seeing right now is, I know Chris Paul's been out, but like what you're seeing from, at least what I saw from Cameron Payne and Damian Lee, and I think a big reason why they're playing so well too is because like they're kind of taking a lot from how Devin Booker plays, like that patience in the pick and roll game as well. Like, I mean, Cameron Payne kind of had that a little bit more, but I didn't really ever see this from Damian Lee. So I just think you got to give credit to Devin Booker especially. And it's kind of funny because he didn't really start the game aggressive. I thought personally before the game started, like not before the game started, but in the first like 3-4 minutes, that I thought like this is going to be like a 40-point game for Aiden. It's going to be like his career high. Little did I know, it was a 40-point game, but it was for Devin Booker actually a 50-point game. And I think Booker probably told Aiden like, "Hey, want to honor Kobe or something tonight?" because they dropped 81 together. It was literally insane. But I don't know, the Suns. I mean, like I said, they're the most consistent team right now in the West. I told you this the other day. Even though they, like you said, they have had like their stretches of
inconsistencies, and struggles, but that was really just me nitpicking, to be honest.
Yeah, and I mean, like, even then, though, still compared to these other teams,
Oh,
they have
yeah.
had probably even worse levels of
Meltdowns.
inconsistency.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, but
No,
I mean, I think that's just the theme, at least for me, like with the Suns tonight.
yeah, no, they're playing at an incredible level right now, and it's just so fun to watch. And this was just one of those nights. And maybe I'm wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong here. It was just one of those nights where everything seemed to click. Like I don't really know. I would really have to like dive into the gripes and the nitpicks to find out what went wrong tonight, but really nothing went wrong. The Suns crowd was behind them. That obviously helped. Playing in the Sunburst jerseys obviously was great. It was just an incredible night, man. And that's why I'm kind of excited to hear the rant about your bowls and everything, because
Oh boy.
obviously you guys have been struggling on the road and everything, and your season's been rough, and you guys have been dealing with injuries just like the Phoenix Suns and everything. I know that your team struggles to shoot the three, which we will talk about later because we're going to dive into the stats and everything. I think I saw a stat that like the Bulls are last in the league at 3-point attempts or something like that. I don't know, but real quick before we move on, you kind of mentioned it earlier how it kind of seemed like DeAndre Ayton was going to be the one that was going to go for a huge game, and he did. We are going to talk about him in a minute, so I got to pull this up. But before we talk about DA, let's play DeAndre Ayton's drop, shall we?
The Phoenix Suns select DeAndre Ayton.
DeAndre Ayton, 31 minutes tonight, 30 points, 14 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 assist in particular that I would like to get to eventually. He was absolutely incredible tonight. I think he had like 11 of the first, he had like 11 points early. You know what I mean? He got it going early. There was just so many great moments for DeAndre Ayton in this game. We might react to some of the plays and stuff later, but a lot of what I saw from Ayton tonight was just really in the paint. I think there was 3 straight plays where Ayton caught a really high lob from Devin Booker. I don't know where Nikola Vucevic was on that play. And I think the second play, I think on the second play, Mikal Bridges or Booker might have hit a mid-range. But then the third play after that, this was like all in a row. Third play after that, Booker went and drove in, then passed the ball to DA, and he just flushed it down. It was just one of those great nights for DeAndre Ayton where he just was engaged from the jump. He was attacking Nikola Vucevic from the jump. He was focused. He was locked in. And shout out to Bright Side of the Sun. They did a little preview on this game. When DA and Nikola Vucevic play, they actually put up kind of similar numbers. I think Vucevic has averaged like nearly 20 a game, 12 rebounds, 2 assists. Ayton, not as good in terms of Nikola, like putting up Vucevic numbers, but 15 points, 9 boards, 1 assist, 1 block. And I guess the Suns are 6-2 when Vucevic and DA play. But tonight, I don't think any of that mattered. DA was obviously the player of the week for a reason. He's playing at a really high level right now. He's consistent each and every single night, which us Suns fans want to see from him. And everything I just said, I'll repeat it over and over again. Consistent from the jump, attacking Nikola Vucevic, attacking the basket, dunking the damn ball. You know what I mean? It was just a great night from DeAndre Ayton. So real quick, anything that you saw from Ayton or even Nikola Vucevic, if you want to talk about that, what did you see from Ayton tonight, man?
Well, I'll hold off on Vucevic right now because that'll be in the Bulls thing. But I mean, with Ayton, like you said, that's a big reason. Like the way he's been playing more recently has just been more aggressive, and also like, I mean, I'll get more into like what Stacey King was saying on the Bulls end after this too, but he was saying like just how much they were actually finding Ayton so quickly, like on mismatches.
I forgot to mention that too. Yeah,
I feel like they've been doing that a lot more recently too. I think they did that a lot. When was it? I think against the Jazz when they beat them as well. It was one of those games like just recently too. But you know, I don't know. I think personally, like that's the biggest thing like with Ayton. I mean, like first few weeks of the season, it kind of seemed like, oh, like he's just kind of here, like he just got, you know, paid, whatever, like because the Suns didn't really want to give him money. They just wanted to like match whatever was there. And I mean, now it's like, I don't know. He seems like more bought in. He looked really actually like happy I would say tonight,
Facts.
especially. Probably one of the most happiest sights I've seen of him this season so far. So, I mean, that's always good. Like when a player like that is, able to actually play the way he wants to play, and it shows up on the box score too.
Yeah, I didn't even really mention the fact that they were feeding DeAndre, and you are right. There were a lot of times where he was like open, or they just found ways to get him the ball. The Chicago Bulls, I feel like at times gave him a lot of space. That's kind of why I was talking about like the alley-oop that he had, and
Give
that like
space.
Devin Booker pat. Yeah, exactly. DeAndre Ayton was awesome tonight. By the way, 11 for 17, I guess if you want to call it shooting, 11 for 17 from the field. DeAndre Ayton was absolutely incredible. And the only thing, and again, I'm nitpicking here. The only thing, and I'm sure DeAndre Ayton knows this, and he probably doesn't give a shit, but he just has to keep it up, man. That's all I'm saying. I'm not trying to sound like a DA hater. I'm not trying to sound like a party pooper. He's just got to keep it up. I'm not saying he has to win player of the week every week. I'm not saying he's got to put up, these incredible numbers every night. Although it'd be nice if he'd put up a double every night, especially after 7 in a row. But he's got to continue to perform this way, especially against the better bigs in the league. But DeAndre Ayton was just absolutely incredible tonight, man. Just what a performance for him. So let's move on here real quick. We're going to just look at the box score, and then I promise we will get to your Bulls rant because I'm excited to hear about it. So let me pull up the stats. Sorry, give me 1 second here. Technical difficulties on my end. Okay, here we go. Share screen.
Such a weird box score tonight, honestly. Like, just weird.
All right, box score. And then I'll also eventually pull up the and I hope these stupid like ads don't play and all that. Let me know if they do. We'll start with the Suns, and I promise we'll get into your Chicago Bulls. Let me pull this up so that people can see it better. Hopefully people can see that okay. Let me see. Does that look better if we do it like that? Oh, that kind of looks. Can you see that okay?
Hold on, let me zoom in. Yeah, I can see it okay.
Zoom in a little bit if you want here. I need to get like
I wasn't on full screen. I just had like the thing open, so I wasn't. But no, I mean it looks good.
All right, so we already talked about how great Ayton and Devin Booker were, and the last thing I'll say real quick is don't let this Devin Booker performance let people forget how great DeAndre Ayton was tonight. That's all I got to say. Booker was incredible, but Ayton was just as good. And really kind of a quiet night from everyone else to an extent. There's just a couple of players I want to talk about just real quick. Campaign, 8 points, 6 assists, stepping in for Chris Paul. He had a pretty damn good stretch recently where he was playing really well. But let's talk about Damian Lee and Landry Shamet. And you kind of talked about Damian Lee a little bit earlier. 12 points tonight, 25 minutes. Landry Shamet kind of struggled at first, but I remember he had a sequence where he hit back-to-back threes. And I swear to God, I would have to look at the highlight again. I think Mikal Bridges, after he hit that first three, he looked at him, and I read his lips. He was like, shoot it. I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy. I swear I saw that. But Landry Shamet was okay tonight. It's good to see him actually shooting the ball, getting some points on the board. But spoiler alert, I have a Damian Lee video. I wanted to do it today, but I got busy with some stuff. I have a Damian Lee video coming soon. He has been absolutely incredible, man, especially in the fourth quarter. I think he's shooting like 60. Let me pull up the numbers here so I get this correct. Like 60-something% from 3 in the fourth quarter.
That's crazy.
He's like 39 and like 39 threes made this season. 21. I don't know. I'm butchering the numbers right now, but he's putting up numbers in the fourth, and the threes are going in the fourth, and the percentages is very high. And he seems to just lock in when the fourth quarter happens. And I read some stuff on him earlier. Monty Williams was speaking very highly of him. He basically called him a big shot taker, and he said that he doesn't care about the consequences. He just wants to shoot the ball and really help this team out with his shooting and his experience from the Golden State Warriors. And then DeAndre Ayton said this about him: D. Lee is a champion, man. You can just see that from the competitive winning spirit in him. Nothing bothers that dude, and it's contagious. Just how he competes and his energy on the bench. before his name is called up. That's what winning's about. So he brings that Golden State Warriors winning culture to the Suns team. And the reason I bring up the fourth quarter so much, even though I butchered the numbers, is I feel like that experience is coming over to the fourth quarter. And that's why we play him a lot in the fourth quarter. So that's really all I wanted to focus on in terms of the Suns bench. I gave my flowers to Landry Shamet. Before we talk about the Bulls and everything, anybody's numbers stand out to you? Anything you want to add about Damian Lee or anything? What are you thinking?
I mean, I probably the two that would deserve the most credit that we haven't talked about, or prior to this at least, would be the two that you mentioned, Damian Lee and Landry Shamet. I know obviously Shamet, like I talk about him all the time. But I thought he actually played pretty good today. Like you said, he had a stretch where he had back-to-back threes, and he was hitting timely threes too. Like that's kind of like the make or break thing. Again, like we'll talk about the Bulls in a sec, but they're really bad at that, like hitting the threes that matter most. And Damian Lee, I mean, yeah, he's huge in the clutch, like we know it. I mean, opening night when he hit that shot against the Mavericks too, like that game winner. He's hit a game winner against the Bulls before. I don't know if you remember that. It was a couple of years ago. He had a game winner.
My memory sucks, so
yeah,
I'm glad you remembered that.
I think there was some violation before that, anyways, that should have been called. But regardless, I mean, he's still had a game winner against us. So I do remember that though. But yeah, I mean, these guys, I mean, if they're shooting like this off the bench, I mean, there's not many bench tandems that can shoot the ball like that either. Make how many threes did they make tonight? They went
15.
6 for 10. Yeah, 6 for 10, those guys in particular. So, I mean,
and dude, we needed a 3-point shooting night like this. Because again, if I'm nitpicking and griping, our 3-point shooting hasn't been great or consistent. So I'm glad you brought that up. But yeah, this was a big night from 3.
I can relate to that. Inconsistent, bad 3-point shooting. Yeah.
If I'm really nitpicking here, you kind of maybe want to see some more production off the bench, but like that's just me being a dick, you know what I mean? Like I'm totally griping and nitpicking. I'm trying to find things with the Suns team, but I don't want to jinx us either, you know what I mean? Because we sort of talked about this on Bullony basketball. There's some nights where we look really damn good and then we come out flat the next game.
Right.
And we make bad teams look good, you know what I mean? But I'm nitpicking, I'm griping.
Well, not tonight.
I'm gonna shut up on that point now, and I'm gonna I'll bring up the screen so you can look at the numbers. I also have the the team stats as well if you need me to pull that up. But right now we're gonna let you go on your Chicago Bulls rant. So if you want me to, I can slide up the numbers here, and again, I can always switch screens for the team stats. So let us Phoenix Suns fans know, man, like what is going on with your Chicago Bulls? Why are you guys struggling? What's going on, man?
Yeah, I mean, there's really a lot to it. I think this game in particular, there was like the most disconnect you could argue of any game this season. And that's very impressive because I've seen a lot of bad performances this season. Just the way they started off. They started off the game 1 of 14 from 3. And then what did they do coming out of halftime? They started off shooting a couple 3-pointers. Right. It seems like, and I mean, just looking at the stat sheet, like you wouldn't even recognize like what's overshadowed. I mean, DeMar played kind of good tonight, like 29 points, 7 rebounds, shot like 65%.
He was the only player I was concerned about, to be honest.
And that's who everyone's concerned about.
Yeah.
If you, I don't know how many like Bulls games you've seen this year, but what teams are doing this season. Last year, we would be so great in the fourth quarter. And DeRozan was the leading scorer in the fourth quarter last season for a reason, because he would get single coverage. Now players, they're not trusting the other guys on our team. They're not trusting Ayo Dosunmu because he's a rookie. They're not trusting Patrick Williams. Well, he's not a rookie now. He's a sophomore. They're not trusting Patrick Williams because he basically has the mindset like a rookie. They're not trusting Vucevic because it seems like he's super inconsistent. They're not even trusting Zach LaVine, who we just paid a max contract to, because he's not the same player that he was before. So all that considered, they're double teaming DeMar. He has to give up the ball so many times down the stretch of games. And that's why we've lost so many of these games like this. Like our record's 9-12, right?
Yeah.
We very easily should be at least, and I'm not even trying to go for like nitpicky games. We very least should be 13-8.
Right.
You know, like we lost to the Wizards, we lost to the Spurs, we lost to, who do we lose to the other day? The Magic. That was a great one. And Paolo Banchero didn't even play. So it's like
that's
these
pretty
are just,
bad, dude.
and we lost at home. And you think about the fact that we traded Vucevic for Wendell Carter, and Wendell Carter destroyed him that game too.
He plays good against the Suns too.
It just all looked bad. And there were so many times, like there was, I don't know if you saw in the game, like there's some tweets I have pulled up by Casey Johnson to remember my memory with everything exactly. But he tweeted out that I think it was like first or second quarter, Bulls are committing game plan mistakes at the defensive end. That's twice Vucevic has demonstratively motioned for the guard to collapse closer to the lane on a made bucket. Because what happens is that everyone has to rotate because this team is slow. They don't move their feet. And then all of a sudden, everyone's always matched up the wrong way. And it's not like I'm trying to defend Vucevic. I'm defending Vucevic here, but he's also terrible at it too. I mean, every Ayton shot, I think in the first 6 minutes, he just stood there like this. He doesn't jump. He doesn't leave his feet. And I get it, like maybe you don't want to foul, but there's a fine line when you're like you have to play some defense.
You gotta
right?
be somewhat physical, especially against DeAndre Ayton. Whether Ayton dunks or not, you gotta be physical against him.
But they just don't talk on defense. Like near the end of the game, I don't know if you were seeing, like, because I was hearing Stacey King going crazy too. Like he's like, why is Vucevic even on Cameron Payne? Like Cameron Payne did like a step back on Vucevic.
I saw that.
They were switched and there was no screen set. Then the next play starts and Vucevic is starting on Cameron Payne and Patrick Williams is starting on like Torrey Craig instead of Devin Booker. I don't know why. And then Ayo Dosunmu is guarding Ayton. It makes no sense. Like, what are you doing?
Dude, even if you're the worst team in the league and you do that kind of defense, it's not going to work.
You're not going to win at all.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I don't know if you saw this too. It was after Booker got his I forget. I think it was after he got his 41st and 42nd point where he drove in and he dunked the ball like with two hands. Like he split like a trap that was coming, which we're also not good at that, right? Like we'll try to trap, but we trap terribly because we don't send a double team early enough. We wait till there's a screen, we leave a huge gap, and then the player automatically dribbles through there. Like players like Devin Booker or Curry or Donovan Mitchell, they probably love that action. But I don't know if you saw this though. Like after Booker, I think it was his 42nd point, we called timeout, and like Billy Donovan was just like staring daggers at Dosunmu.
Yeah,
and
he was pissed.
He was screaming at him because I don't know if it was just because like, okay, you didn't help over here, or you weren't staying in front of your man, because let's be honest, you never know who's guarding who with the Bulls because it's different every other play, right? Yeah. Like, okay, one time Vucevic is guarding Booker, now it's DeRozan, now it's Patrick Williams, now it's Javonte Green. Like you don't even know like what is happening.
That's bad.
Yeah, and tonight like it didn't help. We shot terrible from three.
Yep.
Like last year, we shot the least amount of threes in the league, but for the most part, like we were the best percentage in the league. This season, we're still shooting the least amount of threes in the league, but now we're in the bottom half in percentage. So you're not taking a lot. You're not making a lot. The team is small. You don't play defense. You don't have leadership. Nobody likes each other on the team. How are you going to win games? Right? Like, how do you win games? And you could hear Stacey King. He was super frustrated. I don't think I've ever heard him this frustrated. And he was saying stuff like, no one's going to feel sorry for you if you don't play defense. You came in last year. You made the playoffs. You think you would be hungry this season. And I still remember, like in our last game, I think Mike Breen called it like in game 5 of the playoffs last year. And he said something like, well, he's like, even though this is a heartbreaking loss for the Bulls with the injuries, he's like, but this is going to be a playoff team for years to come. And it might not be for too much longer because I feel like personally the Bulls have a decision to make and they need to make it quick because, yeah, we don't have our pick this season if it's like in the 5 to 14 range because it goes to Orlando, but we do get it if it's a top 4 pick.
Right.
So I think you either got to go all in on winning right now or you got to go all in on just tanking. Like, right. And you need to make the decision fast because if you fall somewhere 5, 6, 7 range, like you might lose your pick and then you're just stuck. Like right now we would lose our pick if the season ended today and it'd be like a bad spot too. So I don't know. I mean, do what you can maybe to get Victor Wembanyama if this thing is not going to work. Like, I don't know. And it's just weird because the Bulls, like, they don't make sense. Like, it seems like for, I don't know, like their management, I don't know if you saw this recently too, but Shams just recently broke like a couple days ago. I think it was yesterday or something. He recently broke that Billy Donovan and the Bulls agreed to an extension
I was so confused by that.
Prior to the season, okay, for an undisclosed amount of years. But he said it yesterday, but nobody knew about it until yesterday. Like, why are they hiding information from us? Probably because everyone wants Billy Donovan to be fired now because the team sucks, right?
And also that makes no sense because of how you guys started the season and your current record. Like, why? How that got past everybody makes no sense.
But now
it makes the Bulls look worse. No offense.
He was in a 4-year deal already. He's in his 3rd year. So he has this year. He has next year. He at least has another year after that. So now we have 3 more years of Billy Donovan who doesn't have any game plan either because he's awful at his job. I'm sorry. He's just awful. His game plan is just go out there and save me, DeMar. You know, DeMar, lead me to the playoffs again.
Luka. No,
it's awful, and I feel bad. I feel bad for DeMar DeRozan. Like, I feel like, you know, he's probably never gonna get like the recognition he deserves. Like with the Bulls, when it's I mean, like just with the Bulls when it's all said and done. Like he might still be an All-Star this year, but he's not gonna get like his jersey retired or anything like that. He's
because
not gonna get like
struggles,
a statue. But even though like I feel bad because of that, but I don't know. I just think like the whole thing is weird. But I don't know. Like I'm looking through like how we played last year too. Last year when we got our 12th loss, we were 27-12. Believe it or not.
Pretty good actually.
Yeah. We were first in the East last year after our 12th loss. Now we're 9-12. And we're 12th in the East.
And the Eastern Conference seems to get better almost every day too. So
yeah, and I mean, I get it. Like, I'm not saying we should be 27-12 again because, like, yeah, Lonzo's out and stuff, and Levine missed a couple games early in the year. But you can't tell me that we shouldn't have at least 4 or 5 more wins right now. Is that too much to ask? Like, I don't,
because I can say the same thing about the Suns, man. We talked about that on Bullony basketball yesterday.
Yeah,
so
and like. I was looking through a lot of stuff. I have a lot of stuff like pulled up here, because again, like what Stacey King was saying, he's like, you know, Vucevic, this is a guy who was dominating inside, like, you know, with the Magic for all those years, and Zach LaVine, you know, that last year, you know, he was a max level player and all this stuff. He's like, so really, you have 3 All-Stars. He always says that we have 3 All-Stars. But in reality, no, we do not. Not anymore. We do not, especially when they're all together. DeRozan's an all-star.
Yeah, he is.
You know,
Zach LaVine is
Zach LaVine. I don't know where. I don't know what happened to Zach LaVine. And Vucevic is like saying he's an all-star anymore is just ridiculous. Like, I looked it up though. There have been 443 players all time that have made an all-star team at least once. But if you want to say like multiple times. There's still been 302 players that have made it multiple times. So does that really say much that 302 players have made the All-Star team multiple times in this era? No, I don't think it does. So I don't know. That's just about everything. I mean, I didn't even really go into the players. I mean, Patrick Williams,
I've heard he's really been struggling this year.
He irritates me so much. What did he have tonight? 2 points, 0 for 8.
And I'm not even talking about tonight. I've heard just all season he's like really struggled, like Zach LaVine has.
He's been my least favorite player on the team.
Yeah.
And I it's so frustrating. I got in an argument today with someone about, they're like, oh, well, you don't trust Patrick Williams. It's just like you guys and how you felt about Markkanen. No, okay.
No way.
This is not how I felt about Markkanen. Most Bulls fans did, okay? I never said that about Markkanen, and I was upset when we let him go for basically nothing.
Yeah.
Now he's out here playing on a better team.
All-star level.
At an all-star level. Granted, they've been struggling, but it's still a better team at an all-star level. And better than every player on our team this season except DeRozan, probably. Like, that's, I don't know. It's just like weird. And it's bad when literally during the Bulls commentary, that's the headline like of their podcast that they were talking about. They're like, in the latest podcast, the Bulls Talk, we talked about, did the Bulls give up on Lauri Markkanen too early? Like, yeah, that's how you know the team sucks, right? Like you're talking about, oh, what could have been, more than, oh, what are we doing right now, right?
Yeah. So real quick, man. I mean, I could let you rant all day, but I guess I have a couple questions for you. Is do you think the Bulls can turn it around?
No.
Okay. That's a good answer. That's a good, solid answer.
I mean, the first thing that needs to happen, and it won't happen because now you hear the news of the extension, is fire Billy Donovan, because that's what happens with a lot of these players. We saw it with the Nets. They tuned out Steve Nash. I mean, Steve Nash, like, he could be a good coach somewhere else. And Billy Donovan, yeah, he had success the 1 year with Chris Paul and OKC by his standards, but it just doesn't work with this lineup. And especially because it seems like he's just kind of given up. Remember when he left OKC and he said, like, it seemed like he was going to go back to college coaching?
Yeah.
That was the news.
Which was kind of encouraging, I thought.
And then he came to the Bulls, and I was like, oh, okay, I guess. I don't know if he's like even completely bought in, like, ever since he left OKC.
He looked pissed tonight. Like, they kept showing him on the stream and everything. He looked so pissed. And dude, here's the thing, like, from an outsider's perspective, sure, you can fire your head coach. Maybe you'll get a couple more W's, but I don't know if that's going to fix all the Bulls' problems. Zach LaVine's got to be better, because you talked about how someone, I forgot who said it. Someone said there's 3 All-Stars on your team. First off, there's Stacey King said that. Vucevic used to be an All-Star. He isn't anymore. He's not going to be with the Bulls in the future, in my opinion. Zach LaVine needs to mentally lock in and shoot better to become even borderline All-Star, and that's saying something. And DeMar DeRozan's great, but he can't do it all. So that's my whole take on the Chicago Bulls. And then look, I haven't watched enough of Patrick Williams to really trash him, but again, everything I've heard, it's been pretty bad this year. I know you guys don't have Lonzo Ball right now, but let's be real, like, we don't have Chris Paul, we don't have Cam Johnson, the Timberwolves don't have Karl Anthony Towns right now, et cetera, et cetera. Like, you deal with injuries, man. Great teams look past the injuries, and I'm not saying the Bulls need to like blow it up or anything.
They do.
But the way I look at it, and it sucks, because I'm a fan of coaches. Coaches always go first. That's why the whole Billy Donovan quote extension is really fucking strange, because I didn't know that last part. I didn't know that happened earlier in the season. I thought they just extended it.
That happened right after the playoffs last year, but they never revealed it until yesterday. Why are you keeping secrets like that?
If the Suns did that and we were in your situation, Suns Twitter would be like in flames right now, dude. Like, that would be so bad.
Like, just think about it. The coach has been the biggest one criticized through all this, and rightfully so, because I think he deserves most of the criticism, even though the players have not played great. Why? And then you get through the season, you're playing awful, maybe the worst of anyone based on their expectations before that, and it's like, oh, by the way, we got him for another year than what we had, at least maybe 2. They don't even know how many years it is right now. He could be on contract till 2025.
Who dropped the ball on that? Who?
I don't know. I really don't know. And yeah, like you said, like, yeah, people will say this stuff about injuries or whatever. Like, it just doesn't matter. Like, I look at this team, and another reason why I feel bad for DeRozan is he's the only guy who I see like make high IQ plays out there. I mean, I'll give Dragic credit too, but he doesn't play enough, I feel like, all the time.
He's been injured, I think, too, to my
Yeah,
knowledge.
he didn't play a lot tonight, but
Yeah.
I'll give him credit too. Believe it or not, like Andre Drummond, who I've always said like this guy is like a fluke. Like, you know, I bashed him for so long.
He'd be great in the 80s.
he actually has been one of our better players.
Dude,
season.
I knew that too. I called it. I was like, Drummond's gonna be great for you guys, man. I don't know why I called it, but I did.
He hasn't been doing the thing where he dribbles the ball up the floor all the time. He hasn't shot too many like jump shots. Yeah, like thinking he's 30 or something. But the real problems, like, they lie within. Well, Zach LaVine's the biggest one, and the thing about LaVine is he's finishing around the rim worse than he's ever finished in his career for any season. And it's just like it's kind of like Randall last season. But Randall, I think this year is kind of like stepped it up again. Like he's like, oh, I heard all the noise. I'm kind of going to prove people wrong again. He's not playing quite as good as he did before, but he's at least like improved from last year again. I don't know if like LaVine has that mentality. Like I just don't really see it from him. And then same thing with Vucevic. Like, I don't know. Like I'm starting to think like because this team, just how bad it's poorly designed, most of the things actually too, like most of the signings we made, I know it all goes through like Arturas Karnisovas and everyone's in the Bulls nation is like in AK we trust, but a lot of these signings, like Vucevic has been like the main one that's kind of been recruiting people, right? Like he got DeRozan in here.
Yeah.
I believe he had like, you know, some influence like for Dragic as well. Like, and I'm not saying like those are in particular bad signings, but I don't know. Like, I feel like if he's having like so much influence on the team, he's not performing it the way you want him to perform. Like, he can't defend, he can't shoot consistently. You got to get rid of him too. It just won't work. I like DeMar. I just don't know how we can make it work like around him. You know what I mean? I don't think we have the pieces around him to make it work. But I like him. I mean, I think Io is usually pretty good.
Yeah.
I think he's improved actually at driving to the basket, which that's also good. Javonte Green, I got to give him credit too. He's probably been the favorite Bull to watch this season, maybe other than DeRozan, just because he always plays hard. And he's actually, you can see like last year, he kind of wasn't as fluid like with his game. He always gave energy, but he wasn't as fluid. He was kind of shaky, a little nervous at times. He doesn't really have any of those nerves this season. And I think that he's actually played well. And again, Dragic, Drummond. So just mainly those five. Like there's like five guys on this team that I can trust. DeRozan, Io, Javonte, Drummond, and Dragic. Everyone else has let me down. And when more than half the team is letting you down, well, you're not going to be a great team, especially when you didn't really have title aspirations before the season. So,
well, I appreciate you going on that rant and letting us Suns fans kind of get a idea and what's happening in Chicago. And I did want to let you go on that rant because when Reliable Rants was on here, he went on a little bit of a rant with the Lakers. Man, and you know, I think I saw something recently that was like the Jazz were like top of the West, and then in a matter of like 7 days or something, they're like close to the bottom. That's why I kind of brought up the Eastern Conference earlier. I was like, the Eastern Conference is getting better every day, and those losses are going to start piling on. And it's like we already talked about if the Bulls could turn it around, and it's not looking good for Chicago Bulls fans. And if you're wondering why Super Mario is sitting in the dark, it's because of his gigantic rant he just went on just now, and I don't blame him. So
yeah, I mean, it's bad enough when you think about how the Lakers are about to be half a game behind the Bulls, and also like LeBron has missed several games. AD's missed a couple games, right? So it's just awful. Like to even be in the same stratosphere as them.
Shout out to my guy Cody who says, "Don't forget to roundhouse kick and Hulk smash that like button." Appreciate you being here, Cody. Appreciate everybody that's here right now. We've been live for almost 45 minutes. It's been a great show, and we still got a little bit more to go. And it's been a good show, and I appreciate you Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, just don't remind me, AJ,
What
about
age is?
Warriors
Oh, yeah.
and Bulls Friday on ESPN. Yeah, and you're a Warriors fan. Oh, that'll be an easy win for you guys.
I'm a little scared, actually. I think Friday we play the Celtics, who we're going to talk about later. They're playing pretty damn good, and so is Jason Tatum.
At
But
least that'll
yeah,
be competitive.
exactly. I know.
This one won't. Wait, is that the first game on ESPN that day? Or
That's a good question. I don't know. I'd have to look it up. I just know we play them Friday. Let me see. Go to our schedule.
It says the Celtics play the Heat again on Friday.
Mm.
Or no, you guys play the Rockets on Friday.
Or wait, is it Friday? Wait.
Maybe it's the next day.
Oh, I'm sorry. Wednesday we play the Celtics. I'm sorry, Suns fans. Wednesday, 9:00. So it's probably the last game, you would assume.
That is on ESPN, though.
Yeah, my bad, guys. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
Let's see. Suns Geek, the only respectable fan that respects the Warriors. Hey, man, they're the NBA champions. I have to, man. They're the champions until the Suns beat them, and, and then we win our first championship. But again, man, appreciate you going on that rant right there. We are going to transition, though. I feel like we've done a pretty good job of covering this game as a whole. Is there any final thoughts in terms of this game that you want to talk about? Because don't worry, Suns fans, stick around. We still got lots more to talk about. I meant to do some Suns news stuff today, but I've been busy. So just real quick, any final thoughts on this game? Anything in terms of just this game that you want to add?
That I want to add? Oh,
yeah. No. Okay.
nothing I want to add.
That's okay. We can move on here because there is some Suns stuff that I would like to get your opinion on, and really just Suns stuff that I want to update the fans on. So if you guys are watching, please stick around because there actually is some Suns news to talk about. Real quick, the Phoenix Suns did quote promote James Jones to president of basketball operations, and he still will be the general manager and everything. And James Jones talked about that in short. He pretty much just said that he can like focus on other things, because I guess he pretty much summed it up like, if you're the general manager, you literally have like so many different duties to do, even duties like where you have to check on what the players are eating. That's how James Jones talked about it. So he said that he can kind of like focus in on other things, even do some Phoenix Mercury stuff too, which that's pretty awesome. But that's not really the news I wanted to talk about. And again, you guys might see some videos on this. Follow me on TikTok, by the way, you guys. I've been doing some TikTok videos. You guys are going to be getting a little bit more Suns news over there as well. But let's start real quick with, let me just pull this up real quick. Let's start with something that I feel like isn't really being talked about enough. And maybe I need to talk about it more. And maybe that will start the conversation up a little bit. Chris Paul's quote, injury update, and I put that into quotations because he looks pretty damn healthy to me. So here, this comes from the good people over at Bright Side of the Sun. James Jones spoke about Chris Paul and the status of his heel injury. Jones, with a smile, said that Chris Paul is close, quote, close, and that he's been looking good, but explains that the team is taking more of a long-term approach. Let me repeat that last part. But explains that the team is taking more of a long-term approach. He explained that the team waits for the injured players to be 100% ready to play with, quote, without restrictions before they are able to get out there. He also told the media that it's a sore heel. I've always tried to be honest and direct. If there was something more, we would tell you, but it's just a sore heel. I really like that last part. And look, I've never met James Jones in person, but I do feel like he is legit honest. And I like how he said, I've always tried to be honest and direct. If there was something more, we would tell you. I fucking love that from James Jones. And that's why I think he's doing an excellent job as a general manager. It's just little things like that. So that's sort of a Chris Paul injury update. And also one thing that I don't think is being talked about enough, I think it was like a week or so ago, he told Chris Haynes, I guess they like had a phone call or whatever. He pretty much took, and I'm sure this clip is somewhere on YouTube. I'm sure it's somewhere on Twitter. He literally told Chris Haynes, I'm pretty much ready to go. He didn't actually say that, but he kind of jokingly said, I'm ready to play right now. So that is a big Chris Paul update. once again, if you guys are just joining the show, this is what James Jones said about Chris Paul's heel injury. So I guess my whole rant and everything with this is it's kind of a good thing Chris Paul is taking his time and the Suns are not letting him play right away because we're 15-6. We're on a 6-game winning streak. We just had one of the best games of the season, if not the best game of the season for the Suns right now. So just real quick, any thoughts on Chris Paul's injury or anything that we talked about just now?
I mean, not really. I mean, I expect Chris Paul, like, when he comes back. I mean, really, so far this season, he hasn't been, like, aggressive as a scorer. I mean, it's never really been a scorer. I think that's not really the thing you think.
He started off pretty slow, especially percentage-wise. He really struggled.
And I mean, like, I don't think he'll need, like, a huge minutes restriction, like, when he comes back. But I think, like, just the important thing, and I don't think it'll be a problem, is just, like, not stepping over, like, the lines of, like, what's going on right now, like, with the Suns.
Yeah.
Like, it looks like, you know, Ayton's, you know, he's getting more involved right now. Bridges has had some
Campaign's been playing better.
Cameron Payne too.
Yeah.
You know, obviously Booker's going to do Booker-like things. So, I mean, like, just having Chris Paul is kind of like, you know, like, at least the like facilitating part of like what you see out of like Tyrese Halliburton right now. So, like,
you can't talk about Tyrese Halliburton on here because Suns fans they'll go irate.
Yeah. But saying with
I get your point though.
You know, 0 in Indy. I'll say that. But yeah.
They've been playing better, man.
Mm-hmm.
Just real quick, I know we're getting sidetracked, but they've been playing good, man.
Mm-hmm. I think they're getting killed today. But
I spoke too soon.
But no, they've been playing good.
But no, man, you're right. And just real quick, there was another quote that Monty Williams said a while ago, and it kind of stuck with me. He pretty much said that when Chris Paul does come back, that Campaign, for example, should continue to play the way he's playing. Could you imagine that? Like, I know Campaign kind of struggled tonight, and I think he might have struggled the other game to my memory. My memory sucks, but there was a huge stretch where Cameron Payne was playing really well. And it's like, if he can do that when Chris Paul comes back, that's going to be awesome. If this Suns team can keep rolling the way they're rolling right now when Chris Paul comes back, it's going to be great. And then real quick, I've seen lots of Suns fans, and look, I say this respectfully. They're like, Chris Paul needs to come off the bench when he comes back. I'm sorry, Suns fans. That's not happening. It's Chris fucking Paul, dude. He's the reason the OKC Thunder made the playoffs in the bubble. You know what I mean? He's the reason. He's literally the engine for the Suns turnaround the last couple of years. Honorable mention and big shout out to James Jones, who pretty much was the architect, if you will, doing all that. That's why I wanted to bring up James Jones and his promotion. Chris Paul's not coming off the bench.
If you think about it too, like, it might be better like to bring a guy like Payne off the bench. I mean, like, when you guys a couple of years ago in the playoffs, like when he went off against the Lakers, like he still came off the bench like in that series. I know like Chris Paul was kind of limited, but I mean, right now, like, he's probably shooting just about as much as he was for a majority of that series. And you still had a guy like Campaign who came in as like kind of like the main scoring guard off the bench, but still kind of able to get everyone involved. I think you need someone like that off the bench. And if he keeps playing like this, like you said, like if I think you said Monty Williams urged him to, like, if he can keep playing like this, like while Chris Paul comes back, like, then I mean, that's huge because I think depth was probably like one of the biggest things that like scared most fans, like, to, I guess, trust the Suns more prior to the season. So,
and I don't blame Suns fans for thinking that way, because I'm not going to lie, I was a little critical of our bench. I was like, oh, this is what we're rolling with. Like, we're pretty much rolling it back. And we had a Josh Okogie and some guy named Jock Landale, who I'm now in love with because he's awesome. And that's the reason I kind of went on my Damian Lee talk earlier. He's been playing great, man. Like, James Jones and Monty Williams brought these dudes in for a reason. Now,
don't
obviously,
Dwayne Washington.
Yeah, Dwayne Washington Jr. Yeah. It's like, now look, if I'm being a real Suns fan, as least biased as I can be, it's like, we're going to have to see how this picks up down the road, if we can do this in the playoffs. But that's a whole nother conversation for a whole nother time. But I guess my point is that, you know, if we can keep going the way we're going right now, if our bench can be consistent, if our bench can be productive, when Chris Paul does come back, I mean, dude, it's like having a quarterback on the court. You know what I mean? It's Chris freaking Paul, dude. And if Chris Paul can shoot better than he did before he went out, like we're going to be just fine, man.
Yeah, there's a lot of like, I mean, not every team needs to be like, I guess in terms of like how many players you got, like maybe 11, 12 deep. Like, yeah, you look at teams like maybe the Clippers or the Celtics or something, but in the playoffs, like more times than not, like as long as you have like 8 or 9 guys that can play at that level. And I think like, you know, you're seeing with the Suns, I mean, their starting unit, like when fully healthy, obviously Campaign, Landry Shaman's played well, Damian Lee's played well. And maybe if like Jock Landale can be like that primary big and Torrey Craig can be like a wing player, like, you know, they can all play, you know, well for their standards, maybe make up that 8 or 9 man rotation. And I think they'll be fine. Like I think that's good enough to definitely contend.
I won't spend too much time on this, but I do need to make a video about it. Torrey Craig has been fantastic. And, you know, maybe the numbers may not show you that, but it's just his like hustle and effort and defense, especially his offensive rebounding has been like incredible tonight. I think there was one possession tonight where like he caught like an offensive rebound and maybe like tipped it back. And I think it led to like, I want to say a Booker mid-range shot or an Ayton mid-range. And it was all because Torrey Craig went for that offensive rebound. He's been doing that all season long, and he's been really good for us.
That's my guy right there. He gave me a high five one time. I'll never forget it.
Did you wash your hand after that?
No.
Oh God.
Still haven't.
Real quick, you guys, we're almost at the hour mark. Do me a favor, Hulk smash that like button. I haven't said that enough today. Destroy that like button. Share this stream, you guys. If you're watching this afterwards and you made it this far, you're a legend. Follow me on TikTok, by the way. I've been doing lots of TikToks lately. I started a new series called Reacting to Suns Twitter, which I'm having a blast with. So go check that out. Check out my guest, friend of the channel, Supermariohoops24. We still got a couple more things to talk about, you guys. So stick around. Once again, appreciate everybody that's in here. So real quick.
Well, yeah, go ahead. Well, we don't have to talk about it right now, but I also got a couple things I kind of want to like run by you too, like maybe if we could talk about like after this, but yeah,
absolutely. So just real quick, and again, feel free to remind me of that because I'm just kind of rolling off some stuff here. But real quick, and I do kind of want to get your opinion on this, and you can be honest. And look, to be honest with you, man, I'm so sick of talking about this, but I have to do it. It's my job. I wouldn't be Suns Geek if I didn't talk about this. We have yet a quote. Another Jay Crowder trade rumor. Oh boy. Oops, that's not it. Another Jay Crowder trade rumor. This comes again from Bright Side of the Sun. I think I saw was it Brian Windhorst talked about this today, but this comes from James Jones, our GM, president of basketball operations. That's why I wanted to pull this up, because I'm sick of talking about the rumors. I'm sick of talking about what team is interested in him and yada yada yada. So James Jones is talking in the media, and he said, and I quote, "I just haven't been able to get a deal done, obviously. It's the NBA. There's no window yet where they say, hey, all deals are done here. Other than that, it's just finding the right fit, and we just haven't been able to find that yet." And then pretty much they said that the players have talked about it, the coaches, the staff members are all committed to building, you know, the organization better and being patient with this Jay Crowder trade. So I guess in short, I'm tired of these trade rumors. I guess today it was that the Suns are looking for a power forward in return for Jay Crowder, and the Hornets are interested, and this team's interested, and heck, probably your Chicago Bulls are interested for all we know. So I guess what I'm trying to ask you, Super Mario, is let me pull this up real quick. As what's your whole take? Because you and I haven't really talked about this much. What's your whole take on the whole Jay Crowder thing? What rumors do you really believe? Do you see any trade scenario? Like, I suck at creating trades. So, like, what do you think about all this? Because I'm so sick of it, dude.
Yeah, I saw someone on Twitter today. They said Jay Crowder might be the only person to ever request a trade out of a 1 seed. Like it's just like weird. I mean, but I guess you do you, Jay Crowder. I guess do what you want to do. But no, I mean, I think like part of it actually has been like, I think the way Cameron Payne and Damian Lee and like Landry Shamet, especially like the 1-2 guards like off the bench for the Suns have been playing, has kind of made it harder to trade him. And I'm saying that because, you know, I feel like maybe James Jones is less inclined to be like, okay, let me trade Jay Crowder and get back like a backup guard or something like that. I mean, because if you're asking me, I feel like, I mean, I see on here like from about 10 hours ago, the Knicks are a team that's interested. And I've said, like, I've talked with my dad a lot. I think, like, Derrick Rose is a true point guard as much, that's that's a perfect situation for both of us. I mean, he's a true point guard. He's a veteran, and I think he would help out the back unit. But right now it's like, okay, Cameron Payne's playing so well. Landry Shamet's playing so well. Damian Lee's playing so well. So it's
Dwayne Washington Jr.
Mm-hmm. So they don't really need to add another guard, and
we don't want to be like the Magic that have like 10 guards on their team.
I mean,
at least
like,
they used to.
These other teams I see, like the Hornets, Nuggets, Wizards, Timberwolves. I mean, like, maybe like Jalen Noel or Will Barton, like as a 3 guard, or like a 3, kind of like a 2-3. That would probably be the thing I'm most looking at. But it's like, at that point, it's like, I don't know how much that really adds to the team. I don't know if like those guys actually bring the value. But
just real quick, keep talking, but I'm just going to pull up the quote again that James Jones said, but go ahead, keep going.
Yeah, and I think like right there, like that's kind of like what I was saying. So like other than that, it's just finding the right fit.
Yeah,
and we haven't been able to do that yet. Yeah. Like, I mean, I'm trying to like think like maybe they need like a backup big or something like that. Like maybe that's what they're thinking. But it's like Jock Landale's played so well, so I don't know. I think maybe the power forward position is just like that. Like you said, that's what they were looking at. Maybe someone off the bench that can play power forward. But maybe like, is that all that they would get? I mean, I'm trying to think like power forwards on these teams, maybe like Jeff Green, I guess, but he's kind of washed. I mean, let's be real. I mean, Jeff Green, I like Jeff Green.
I like his story, and he's been a good player over the years. But yeah, he's like what, 30 something?
Yeah, he's like 36.
Yeah, I was like,
maybe you talked about it on my show the other day. I know he's young, and I know this team is kind of like unraveling before our eyes, but Kai Jones off the bench.
That dude is insanely athletic, man. I heard good things coming. I'm not a big college guy, but coming out of college, I heard good things about him too. And but it's weird, like, man. I'm sorry to cut you off, but
no, you're good.
I feel like James Jones said that quote because he has like quote his guys that he brings in, and it's like people none of us are thinking about. Sorry to interrupt you. I just had to say that real quick.
No, you're good. I just feel like most of those guys. I mean, I think. Like I said, I think Derrick Rose would be good. I just don't think it fits on the team. But other than like maybe that, and like I'm trying to think like who else, like maybe like Gordon Hayward, but that's a heavy contract. Like
I'm trying to think like injury history too,
and the injury too. He's out indefinitely. So like,
when he's healthy, man, he's great. But
there's not many options on these couple of teams here. Like other than maybe those guys that would give you the same or maybe more value than Jay Crowder as a player. Like I think Will Barton's nice and Jalen Noel's nice, but I think that's a downgrade of a player.
And dude, and look, man, there's some James Jones critics out there, and I understand, the Tyrese Halliburton thing and Jalen Smith and all. I get it. And I'm not saying I agree with everything James Jones does and says. Sometimes he says stuff and I'm like, dude, what are you talking about? But dude, again, he has been the architect of this team. He built this team. That's the reason we've been contenders the past couple of years, and he's been absolutely fantastic. And again, I really do believe he's going to get the best possible deal, even if it's like the trade deadline at the final hour. He's going to get the best possible deal he can. And even if we have to wait a few more months, it sucks because I'm sick of hearing about these rumors, and I don't know what rumor to even believe anymore. I made a video poking fun at all the rumors. Go check that out. I made a little skit. You guys know you love your skits when I do them. But I don't know. I just had to go on that rant, man. And look,
a trade will happen soon because he is a free agent. So like, regardless, something's going to happen.
$10 million expiring contract. And like Jay Crowder's not doing himself any favors by, not playing and by posting all the IG videos.
Maybe he needed a vacation.
I'm not saying Jay Crowder's a terrible person or anything, but he's just sucks, man.
Yeah.
It's just, I've always said it. I'm like, man, if you were for this team, you'd be playing right now. You know what I mean? It's like, just come back and play. But that would just, Suns fans would not like that. So, and in all fairness too, Chris Haynes talked to him as well. And he said something like Jay Crowder said something along the lines of like, The business of basketball is taking its course, and the truth will be revealed soon. Who knows what the hell that means? Can't wait to hear that story. You'll hear right about it on Suns Geek when that story comes out. But
can't wait for the 30 for 30 on
exactly.
why Jay Crowder felt upset with the Suns.
Dude, that's what I was saying. I was like, dude, like, what is this? Like, what happened?
I wouldn't even watch. Like,
but I really had to go on that rant, and I had to get your thoughts about it because it's good to hear like a non-Suns fan opinion about Jay Crowder, and I appreciate your insight on that, man. So just real quick before we get to what you wanted to talk about, now this is a little bit tricky and a little bit controversial, if you will. This story came out today, and I'll actually share my screen real quick. If any of you out there have an athletic subscription, I do highly recommend it. They do pretty good work over there. There was an article that came out today written by Sam Amick. Let me close these real quick, stupid pop-up ads. The article was with Devin Booker. I guess he had like a one-on-one with Devin Booker. Let me see if you guys can see my screen. Okay, you can. And it was called Devin Booker Unplugged on the Suns offseason, the haters, motivation, MVP race. It's a really great article. There's lots of great stuff in here, lots of great quotes. And I feel like Devin Booker was really honest. And look, I don't really know why we're talking about this, but I really have to talk about it. Just real quick. Where was it? Sort of near the bottom. I'll just pull it up here because I lost track of it already. I think Devin Booker quietly, he didn't actually say it, but he revealed, and I don't really know where I'm going with this, but this is what happened. So Sam Amick asked him, I mean, you guys have talked about how bad the finals loss hurt, and the last year was its own thing. We wrote all about it, and I know you don't want to use excuses, but the COVID thing was real in the Dallas series. Booker answered, for sure. And there's one winner at the end of the day, and that was Golden State last year. Am I thinking too into this? Did Devin Booker say that COVID was the reason they got embarrassed in Game 7, or am I tripping? Am I crazy?
No, I don't think that's crazy. I mean, like, I think that wasn't that a rumor that came out like literally right after the game happened too?
Yeah.
And I mean, granted, like a performance like that, like nobody's gonna care. Like really, like they're like, oh, excuses and stuff like that. But I mean, like if it's happening, like I guess you don't know how many people it's happening to. I mean, it happened to like just one guy in Jordan in the finals. And he
the flu game,
and he still had like a crazy game. But like if it's affecting an entire team like that, like or a majority of a team or half the team, even like. I don't know. Like it could definitely play a part. Now, I don't know if losing by about 30 is, still like what should happen in that case. But if still even like maybe like you lose the game and they lost by like 7 or 8 and then that came out, like I feel like, a lot more people would be like, huh, like I did not know that.
So, let me pull this down real quick. This was the story, and this came out, June 8th, 2022. And I guess The Athletic were one of the only people or the only, I guess, website company that reported it. They pretty much said, and I can highlight it here, I think they pretty much said that it was like one player had COVID. It said the player tested positive after Game 7. The Athletic does not identify individuals who test positive for COVID unless their names are made public. But then they said that it was support staffers that had COVID. I think that's, and again, I didn't really read this full article because I was too upset after the embarrassment that we had to even care about this. And I know there's like conspiracy theories. The Suns had COVID and that's why they got embarrassed. But that's why I'm bringing this story up. And if you guys are just joining us, here's what Devin Booker said. He said, well, Sam Amick said, I know you don't want to use excuses, but the COVID thing was real in the Dallas series. Booker said, for sure. And there's only one winner. At the end of the day, it was Golden State. So I'm like, did Devin Booker kind of say that they had COVID and that's why we lost? I don't know. I'm just talking here. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it definitely, I would say, like, I guess that being like the primary reason why, like, I wouldn't think so, really. I think that it was just like a bad performance, and sometimes that happens. It's just like in a game like that, everyone's going to talk about it a lot more just because of like the situation. But I mean, it definitely could have affected them. Like
People
I think
forget that we got our ass kicked in game 6 too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. It was just a forgettable series. But I think the good thing too, like about the Suns right now is that like now they're kind of like, battle tested in a way. Like they made the finals the one year. Last year, like they had like, a harsh outing. So it's like they're gonna come back with vengeance this year. They have experience. So I don't know. I think a lot of people are kind of forgetting about that, and they're like, "Oh, the Suns are just there." Like, like
that's another great thing about the way the Suns have started this season is, I mean, and that's another thing this article dives into. Let me get off this article real quick and go back to the actual article because he talks about like the Robert Sarver stuff. He talks about Game 7, the Kevin Durant stuff, the crazy offseason the Suns had. It's a really well written article by Sam Amick over at The Athletic. Let me just share it one more time, and then I promise we'll move on, and then we'll talk about some other stuff. But again, highly recommend this article right here. Again, they talk about Devin Booker being in the MVP race. They talk about, Robert Sarver stuff. And Booker in this article, and this is kind of what I talked about at the start of the show. Booker is just so damn humble. Now, I've already had some people tweet at me saying he's not humble because he did X, Y, and Z. And I'm like, okay, well, Devin Booker can't do anything apparently because he's not humble, I guess. But I guess my point being is that he talks about like fan engagement and like signing autographs and like waking up every morning and like using that as motivation. You know what I mean? And just it's a great read, man. I could bore you all day with some of the great quotes in here. It's a really great article. After the show, I'll link it in the description. I'll also link the COVID outbreak thing too. And then I'll also link our Bullony basketball episode. But I just wanted to get that off my chest real quick, get your thoughts on that. So at this point, man, we can really talk about whatever. You said you had something for me that you wanted to talk about.
Yeah,
go
I
for it, man.
actually had two things. One of them is like I feel like something we should talk about.
Yeah,
And the other thing is just a question I was wondering. Because I watched a little bit of every game today except the ones that came on after the Bulls Suns. So, and I was watching the I don't know if you saw any of the Raptors Pelicans game. But yeah, I mean Zion was going off and he ended with 33 points. He played like 37 and a half minutes, but I don't know. He had like a big stretch in there where like I think he sat out like half of the first half. And I mean, that makes sense because obviously like it's Zion, his injury history. Like they kind of want to be a little cautious with him too, even though he did end up playing a lot of minutes. But I mean, I was kind of just like looking through and I was like trying to look through like Booker, for example, who, I mean, he's had like multiple 50-point games, a 70-point game, right? And, Zion throughout his career, for example, he's only had 2 games where he's played 40 minutes or more in his career. Well, Devin Booker has had 6 of those games already this season, right? So I guess like this is for you. This could be for anyone in the chat. Like, I guess like how much would you say like stamina like has a role in like ranking like an all-time great scorer? You know what I mean?
Ooh.
Like, I feel like no one ever talks about that, but I was thinking that today. I'm like, like if, Zion, maybe if he had more stamina like that, maybe if he wasn't like as limited because, people are having him on restrictions. They don't want him to get hurt. Maybe he could average like 30 something like a game.
So you're pretty much saying unleash the Zion. Is that pretty much what you're saying?
As long as he can stay healthy or something like that. But I mean, a guy like Booker, I mean, I feel like Booker's stamina is good. I feel like he's pretty durable for the most part. Like, and he's able to showcase that. So I guess, like, how much do you think that actually has an impact on ranking all-time great scorers? Because I never really think about that, but I feel like it kind of matters.
I don't really know if this answers your question, but I feel like it is pretty important because let's be real. Teams run out of gas. Players run out of gas. It happens. We've seen it, especially in the bubble. You know what I mean? We saw a lot of that, even though those guys had like a few months off prior to the bubble. You know what I mean? But that's a whole nother conversation. But I feel like it is important, man. You mentioned the Michael Jordan flu game earlier. Jordan did it, and he was on what 50%. You know what I mean? There's that famous clip of Scottie Pippen walking him to the bench. And I don't really know if this really answers your question, but and real quick on Zion, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but statistically, they play better when he's on the court, and they have a winning record when he's on the court, and he plays great. So like, unleash the Zion, man. I don't really know if that answers your question, but
yeah, I mean, I was just thinking, like, guys like, I mean, we see like Kawhi, like he plays like it seems like every other game. I mean, we've already said it, but like he also doesn't play entirely a ton of minutes, and I don't think he really cares about like, oh, let me get this scoring crown or something like that. But if he was like given that opportunity, and if he was given like maybe a lot more minutes a game, like we might be talking about him as like an all-time great scorer. Because I mean, over his career, he's been efficient, right?
Yeah.
Like he's one of those guys that even in the playoffs too, like it's almost around 50, 40, 90 for him. So yeah, I mean, right there, Matt said like durability and conditioning matter. Real quick.
Yeah, he said durability and conditioning matter. Otherwise, Greg Oden would be the GOAT. I feel so bad for Greg Oden, man. That story is like,
yeah,
it's a shame.
I was just thinking about that today because I'm like, man, like I feel like if they didn't rest him for like almost like 10 minutes in a row there, like Zion, I don't know, he might have had like 45 or like 50 maybe. He like this could have been a crazy day with his game and then Booker's game, and also we didn't talk about yet. I know you might wanted to touch on like Jason Tatum, but yeah, I don't know. I think it's good though to see like Zion just back out there like playing well too, because he missed all last year.
Please forgive me for going back to the Suns real quick. I promise not to spend too much time on this. Suns fans were like, why did Monty bench Devin Booker after the fourth or third quarter? We want to see him get 70. You know what? He earned that 51 points. Devin Booker can take a night off. God damn it. Okay. He can take a fourth quarter off. Anyways,
even Aaron did say like it only took Booker 31 minutes tonight. Yeah. I was kind of thinking of that, but like before, like he actually went off, and then I'm like, oh, here we go. But yeah, actually, fun fact, it's the third least amount of minutes played of when I was rattling off the 50-point games against the Bulls. Booker played the third least amount of playing time of all those games. I think the only ones with less were CJ McCollum did it in 2018, and then Klay Thompson did it in 2018 as well. Remember that was the game he set the all-time record for threes against us. But yeah, that was basically it.
And yet Devin Booker will still get trolled on social media and isn't in the MVP category according to all the quote experts. And but last thing on the whole Zion and durability and stamina talk, just real quick. I think maybe teams are just playing things safe. You know what I mean? Because let's be real, injuries are a real thing, especially with Zion. So maybe that's why. And if he's putting up a good performance and everything, I don't know. Save it for the playoffs. I don't really know if that's kind of what you were getting at, but that's how I look at it. Because if that were Devin Booker, in Zion's scenario, his case, they probably wouldn't play him either, and they would rest him and take him out early. And I don't know.
It's definitely different times from like 10 years ago when you had guys like Monte Ellis and Steven Jackson and Gerald Wallace playing like 40 minutes a game, every game in the season, like no days off.
Right.
But yeah.
Ooh, that's another thing that Sam Amick and Devin Booker talked about was load management and everything. And pretty much Booker said, dude, I'm 26 years old. I'm going to play. That's basically what Devin Booker said.
Right.
So, and that goes back to Zion too, man. He's what, 20 something? Let the dude play, man. Unleash the Zion.
Yeah. But I mean, yeah, that was basically my first thing I wanted to say. The second thing I wanted to say though, this isn't like, I guess, a question, but I feel like it's news that we should talk about considering the Bulls and Suns played today. That's why we're here, right? So I don't know if you saw this, but former Chicago Bull and former Phoenix Sun, Chandler Hutchison, has retired.
Yep.
What do you think about that? He was just on the Suns last year.
I'll just say this. There's a lot of opportunities, like overseas basketball, Canadian basketball, the G League, although I guess he retired. So what does retired even mean nowadays?
Yeah.
Was there something behind the scenes? Like, I don't really know if we know the reason why he retired, but you're right. He was on the Suns last year. He's still very young to my knowledge. Can maybe he, I guess, take a year off and then go play overseas? And I don't know. It was a little strange. I was like, what? I was like, is that actually real? And I guess it was like the Heat reporter, I forget his name, that like confirmed the retirement. So I don't know. Well, what do you think about it?
Well, I was surprised. I mean, like even usually
someone said end of an
era. Yeah, shame. No, I mean usually like when you see a player, like I guess, well, first of all, like no offense to him, but like I guess by the regular NBA player standards, he wasn't that good anyways. Like so I mean like usually those players just kind of dwindle out. Maybe they'll play overseas, but they won't like officially retire. Like the game will retire them, you know what I mean? And I was kind of like looking through articles. I was trying to find why he did, and I don't know. I found it also interesting too. I was looking through like Bulls draft picks, first round picks over the past decade, and you have guys like him, Denzel Valentine, Tony Snell. All those guys are out of the league right now, and then these other guys like Bobby Portis, Lauri Markkanen, Wendell Carter. They're all thriving on different teams. So I guess that even adds to where the Bulls are right now and like how disappointing it's been for several years now. But I don't know. I personally, yeah, actually, you're looking at it right now. I don't know. I'm not huge on Chandler Hutchinson after he tried bragging about his big game and his big help with the Wizards when he made the playoffs like 2 years ago.
I remember that.
Like, dude, you didn't do anything. But
I'm pulling up his basketball reference page right now, but go on.
Yeah, it is weird. I've never seen, I think the one thing about him is our team knew we were going to draft him at the spot we picked him at, like well before the draft. Like, if I'm not mistaken, he was drafted in 2018. Is that correct? Right?
Yes.
So we also picked, Wendell Carter with our higher pick that year. But we knew we were going to get Chandler Hutchinson with the 22nd pick. We didn't really know like that we were going to get Wendell Carter, but we were so confident about Chandler Hutchinson just for him to play 4 years. I mean, you got the stuff up there too.
Yeah, 2018, drafted in 2018. Only played in 103 games, dude. That's insane.
He sucked. He was so bad.
I mean, look at these numbers, man. Career averages of 5 points per game, 3.7 rebounds on 40, or no, that's not right. Yeah, 44% shooting.
Yeah.
And he did nothing with the Suns, let me tell you. Nothing.
And I also hate him because, well, I mean, to be fair,
like I hate him. He's a terrible person.
I mean, like I hate him in that sense. Like he'll never know me. But I mean, I kind of
he's gonna watch this and come after us.
Yeah, it did get us like Javonte Green, but it still sucks because when we traded him, we also had to trade Daniel Gafford just to get rid of him, and that was my guy right there. You know, Daniel Gafford.
Yeah.
We go way back. Ever since he's DM'd me a few times on Instagram, so I mean,
you got to get him on the show, man. You got to get him on your show and tell him to come on here.
I should. I don't know. I haven't talked to him as much, and now he's on the Wizards because I feel like it's a little weird. But yeah, it's just a shame. And then I had to make a sad tribute video for like goodbye, Daniel.
No, I mean, from what you've told me, he plays hard, man. You know, I remember you and I have talked about that a lot. He plays hard.
Yeah, but I just thought that was funny.
Anything else you got for me? Any questions? Because I'm glad you brought up the Chandler Hutchinson thing, because I was eventually going to talk about that, but
yeah. I mean, those are like the main two things. I mean, I don't know if you wanted to look at the standings a little bit and talk.
Yeah, we can do that. And then if you want, we can also talk about Jason Tatum. Let me just pull up the standings real quick.
We can kind of talk about like whatever teams like we see our.
I love doing the standings watch. Sometimes I have to like wait a while because it's like we got to wait for the standings to actually, teams to lose games. And so
wow,
pull that up.
The Bulls are so low now. I have to zoom out my screen to find them.
Let me know if you need me to zoom in or anything, but here is, so as of December 1st, guys, we're in December. It's Christmas time. Anyways, here are the standings as of December 1st. Let me lower this. Can you see that okay? I can lower that.
Yeah, you can see basically everything. Oh, now you can see the Bulls.
Yeah, there we go.
I mean, I have it on my thing anyways, but
which team do you want to talk about first?
We can go down the line. I mean, we could talk about the Celtics. You want to talk about like Tatum?
Yeah, just and look real quick. We sort of talked about this yesterday on your Bullony basketball episode. I haven't watched that many Celtics games, and I'll pretty much repeat what I said yesterday. From the jump, man, they're just playing so well. And I forgot to talk about these guys yesterday. Like Sam Hauser has been balling, hitting every three for them. They just had production from top to bottom. But Jason Tatum tonight, man, I don't know if you caught any of the highlights. I didn't see every single highlight. I saw everything he did in the first half and a couple plays after that. It's like Devin Booker right now, man. He is just playing at such a great level. And from the jump of this game, like the very first points of the game, I think they like lost him on offense and he cut right to the rim and just slammed it down. And then after that, I think he had a 4-point play where he got fouled at the 3-point line, made it and everything. And the Celtics got off to a huge start in that game.
Right.
And the game was kind of close. Like the Heat came back, but at the end of the day, the Celtics ended up crushing them. And Jason Tatum just was absolutely fantastic. I could just tell from the moment early in this game that he was just on fire. That's really all I wanted to talk about with Jason Tatum tonight. For you guys who are missing what we're talking about, Jason Tatum went off tonight. What was it? 49 points.
Yeah.
Incredible, man. He's playing at an MVP level right there with Devin Booker. So anything to add with Tatum or the Celtics? They've won 5 in a row, by the way, you guys.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I think what you see from Tatum this year, I think you even said it a few times, like just before we like started recording here today, but like he's like way more locked in. And I mean, like he also 29 teams lose every year. And I mean, obviously his team got to the finals last year. He didn't perform quite as good as he probably hoped to in the finals. So I think that's part of why you're seeing him like play so motivated this season. But I mean, he was just locked in tonight and it was kind of crazy. And like for me personally, I know Luka's putting up, like the almost 35-point triple double, and Giannis is Giannis, and obviously like the Devin Bookers and the Donovan Mitchells and John Moran, whatever. But I think Jason Tatum's first in the MVP ladder right now. I mean, you look at where his team is. I mean, he's playing all defensive caliber ball as well.
I didn't even talk about him on the defensive end. You're right.
Their team is just dominating everyone else. Look at that differential right there.
8.
And I know I can kind of see the Suns too.
7.4.
And even after destroying the Bulls tonight, still a whole point lower than Boston. They've just been like on a whole nother level. They look like they're.
Let me know if you need me to like scroll or zoom in on anything.
No, I mean I was just pointing that out like for Boston, but yeah, I would if I had an MVP vote like today and the season ended, I would give it to Tatum personally.
I think they're also number 1 in points per game. 122 per game if you round it out. That's crazy. Opponent's points per game is 113.
Which would also be the highest, I believe, ever if the season ended today. Yeah.
And they've had injuries. They've had all the chaos with the Ime Udoka. And they're just, it's like the Suns, man. Like these teams are so similar in so many ways. So,
yeah,
I don't know. That's my whole Celtics rant talk.
Yeah. Trying to look at like other teams in there.
Milwaukee's playing good. Cleveland struggled for a little bit, but they're obviously a top team in the league. Don't sleep on the Cavs, in my opinion.
Yeah, they've been a little up and down, but I still think they're good. I picked them personally before the year to go to the finals, which might be a little.
I picked them to go pretty deep in the playoffs.
I'm still standing by that though, even though the Celtics have looked good and the Bucks have looked good. But yeah,
if you would have told me on December 1st that the Indiana Pacers would have 12 wins, I would have laughed at you. I said you're crazy and you don't know basketball. But they have 12 wins, and they're 7-3 in their last 10. And Tyrese Halliburton's playing at an all-star level.
and they're still 4th, even though they lost tonight. But I don't know. I'm gonna just say and give flowers to, well, of course, Tyrese Halliburton, like you've said, but also Benedict Mathurin.
Dude.
I was high on him, but like before he got drafted, I thought him and, well, even though I've always believed like Jaden Ivey is going to be great, Paolo Banchero,
Yeah.
Banchero, these guys had like kind of the hype around them, but guys like Benedict Mathurin and
Sort of flew under the radar.
Keegan Murray, like people were like, even though they were high picks, they're like, they're kind of like whatever. But I don't know. I watched them in summer league, and they both looked really good. And so far, I mean, Benedict Mathurin. I mean, if you want to argue like with games played for Apollo, like you can make an argument Mathurin's the rookie of the year right now.
And he's doing it. Is he still coming off the bench?
Yeah, he had 22 points tonight too.
That's what I'm saying. He's coming off the bench and doing this, man, and he's scoring at such a high level right now. He's fun to watch, man.
And he's really efficient too. I think he's shooting like 61% true shooting, which for a rookie, I don't know, that might be near like one of the best efficiencies.
Dude, it's literally him and Banchero, the rookie of the race or rookie of the year award race right now.
I would still give it to Paulo. I just think he's the best out of everyone. I get it, like Mathurin's team's better, but when has rookie of the year ever been like a team award unless it's like literally that close? Like, you know what I mean?
Look, I haven't watched many Magic games, but I have watched a lot of highlights. I've also watched a lot of interviews with Paolo Banchero. He just literally seems like NBA ready. And I know that was the thing coming out of college. Like he has an NBA ready body, but like I feel like he is literally a professional basketball player. You know what I mean? Gets it done consistently, can score the ball like NBA pros can. You know what I mean? And you saw that dunk in his very first game. You know what I mean? That's when we all knew like this guy is legit. And sure, his team sucks and they're losing and they're probably going to be in the Wemby race, but he seems really like a good, mature dude. Like if you watch some interviews with him, he seems legit, man. They got themselves a superstar.
They did get a few guys back today too, which I'm excited to see them play.
We haven't even talked about Bull.
Yeah, well, Bull's been like a revelation this year too. But they did get Markelle Fultz back today.
Oh, nice.
Which is good. And they also got Cole Anthony back today, which I thought that was funny because of, the show. But we can let but I won't spoil what happens with that. But anyways, that's funny.
Philadelphia's 12-10. They've been playing better after a really rough start to the season. I had my guy Philly Take with RB on my show, and he had his own Sixers rant, kind of like how you had your Bulls rant and everything. But they have been playing better, especially with all their injuries and everything. They did lose tonight, though. Who they play tonight? The Cavs? Yeah, I think they played the Cavs.
Yeah,
and they lost.
They got destroyed. I mean, they just didn't shoot well, really. Yeah. It was kind of like a bad game.
Atlanta Hawks, middle of the pack. They're 12-10. I'm a fan of the Murray Trae Young backcourt. I know that it's going to take some time to gel, and there's been some inconsistencies there. I know that, but I like it.
I don't trust them really. I mean, like personally for me, like I don't know. I feel like they've had, if not the easiest schedule, one of the easiest schedules in the league. Yeah. They're just hovering above 500. Like we said this about Minnesota too, and they're literally 500.
I was so wrong about the Timberwolves. Oh
and
my God.
Yeah, and then this is like what people are saying. They're like, I was wrong about the Wolves. They're frauds or something like that. Like
Hulk smash the like button, everybody. We're going strong here.
The Hawks' schedule has arguably been worse than the Timberwolves, and they're one game ahead of them. You know what I mean? Like. I think it's a little overshadowed just because they're 6th in the East, and the East maybe doesn't have as many like dominant teams. But I don't know. I don't trust them really, and even like their net rating. Like, would you believe their net rating is worse than the Bulls this year?
I wouldn't believe that. Not after your Bulls rant.
Yeah. So. It's bad.
I feel like there's a lot of middle of the pack teams, like contenders, but as you put it, you don't trust them. I mean, there's a lot of teams in the East and West I don't trust. You know what I mean?
Actually, let me correct that. After tonight, they might have a better net rating than the Bulls because the Bulls got swamped. But before tonight, even though their record was better, like, yeah, I don't know.
I mean, you got your like Atlanta Hawks, you got your Raptors 11-10. The Brooklyn Nets have won 3 in a row. I mean, if they can put all the controversy aside, the Nets
I don't trust the Raptors either. I'm not gonna lie. Like what I feel like what they did so well last season was with Nick Nurse. It seemed like it was more like team oriented last season. This year, they're like, I think someone said in the game today against the Pelicans, they're 25th in assists. They do a lot of ISO ball, just like the Bulls. Like, that's not going to win.
They play hard, but their offense has been struggling. Scotty Barnes, I heard, has been really bad this year.
And knowing their injury histories, like, it seems like Siakam always has an injury, or like
he was playing really good to start the season, though.
Boucher and Van Vliet and
I know.
Anunoby.
I haven't heard much from Van Vliet this year, to be honest. I'm like, I don't even know what's going on.
So I don't know. Like, I don't trust them like that either.
The Wizards may be a play-in team. I mean, they're 5-5, 11-11. The Knicks are just
the Bulls won't be there. So
I don't know if I trust the Miami Heat. I know that they've had injuries, like they didn't have Jimmy Butler and everything. I don't trust that team right now. And then the rest is, no offense to your Bulls, but pretty much a dumpster fire.
Yeah,
the Hornets are really bad. The Magic, I can only defend the Orlando Magic and the Detroit Pistons for so long. I always say they have a bright future. They have player X, Y, and Z, but damn.
I mean, the Magic right now, if you think about it, they have the third or the second worst record in the league, right? Like the 3 worst records get tied for the best odds in the draft. So they could very well get the best odds at Wembanyama and have another top 7 pick from the Bulls.
Are you serious?
Top 8 pick from the Bulls.
Dude, they could pack. I mean, they're obviously going to draft Wemby, but like they could package that other pick and whatever other picks they have. And
maybe one of their guards. I mean, I don't know. I feel like Jalen Suggs is kind of like, he's kind of the odd guy out on this team. I feel like Fultz is like their true point guard when he's healthy. And I feel like Cole Anthony is a good 2 guard. But I feel like Jalen Suggs, like maybe him in the 8th pick, and you get like another solid.
You could get a lot for that, dude.
Yeah.
I know this is an NBA 2K, but you really could get a lot for Jalen, because that's pretty much a draft pick right there, Jalen Suggs. Let's be real.
Well, and this draft class is supposed to be like one of the best. I mean, not even just Wemby. Like you got Scoot Henderson and like Nick Smith is nice. Like there's a few guys out there.
I heard there's like some twins or whatever that are supposed to be really good.
Amani Bates is back playing again in college, so maybe he can up his value. So
yeah, man. So unless there's any other teams in the Eastern Conference you want to talk about, let's transition real quick to the West. Some team named the Phoenix Suns. I don't know. They're okay. I've heard some drama about Robert Sarver, and Devin Booker is not an MVP candidate. I don't know. DeAndre Ayton, I guess, has problems with Monty Williams. I don't know. But Denver's been playing better. They'd started off the season pretty rough. They're 14-7. I don't know how great Jamal Murray's been, but I know he's been back for the most part.
He's been better lately. Nikola Jokic. But yeah, he started off slow, but Jamal Murray's he's been better lately.
The Pelicans, man, I am so high on the Pelicans, bro. I don't know what it is. Maybe I'm biased because Willie Green, former Suns assistant, is now their head coach. Maybe it's because I love Zion, but dude, they got players up and down. Although I think I did see that not Trey Murphy. Was it Herb Jones got hurt today or something like that? But dude, this team is legit, and they also might get a high draft pick, by the way. That Lakers pick, I think, to my knowledge.
Imagine a Suns versus Pelicans rematch, but in the Western Conference Finals.
And dude, I keep reminding fans of that. I'm like, dude, this team almost beat us in the first round.
I mean, granted, Booker was kind of injured too, but like, I mean, that was without Zion, so I guess,
Exactly. I'm like, dude, this team is legit, man. Like, and they're, I don't want to jinx anything, but they could be good for like the next 5 years or more.
If they get Wembanyama, I think they're going to be the next like dynasty.
Dude.
Like that's over. Like, I'm kind of rooting for the Lakers a little bit, like to win games, because just so that doesn't happen.
It would be such a cheat code if Victor Wembanyama went to the Pelicans. I would become a Pelicans fan. You know what I mean? Like, I would jump on their bandwagon.
Jeez.
But dude, it's from what I know about the Pelicans, it's their culture. They got guys that can play. They have young talent that's on the rise. I already said the stuff about Zion, how they are statistically better when he plays. And he's freaking Zion Williamson, dude. Like, they are a great team. I didn't even talk about CJ McCollum and all those other guys that I'm totally forgetting to talk about. Great culture, great staff. And they're winning games, man. You know, they have struggled at times, but they're 13-8. They're better than their record shows. Any other Western Conference teams? I mean, you got the Grizzlies there. I think they've kind of been beat up, right? To my knowledge. Clippers are still playing good despite all their injuries.
Yeah, they just need Kawhi on the court. I need Kawhi on the court.
I know.
And now Paul George is out too. Like this team can do this with basically their 2-3 best players all missing a significant amount of time.
Yep.
Like, I don't know. I still feel like they're an elite team, and I like Kawhi. I like Paul George, so I just want to see them out there.
Yeah, you want to see them consistently out there. And dude, what did I say on your show yesterday? I'm like, Kawhi plays when Kawhi plays. You know what I mean? And that's bad, dude. Like, you gotta ensure they have great wing players and great bench players, but that can only carry you so far.
He just needs to be consistently back, like no setbacks, at least like in like a month and a half from now, until the end of the year. And if we can get that from him, like, sure, sit out back-to-back games to load manage, that's fine. But if you can get that from him, I think they'll be fine. But yeah.
Let me ask you this, man, because you know I'm a fan of bad teams. Are you a believer in the Sacramento Kings, aka the Beam Team?
Am I a believer like they'll be top 6? No, but I do think they can be a play-in team.
Yeah, that's fair.
And I thought this before the year. Like, I thought there were 11 teams that would be competing for, you know, a play-in spot or better. And I gave the Lakers the benefit of the doubt. I gave them as like my last play-in team just because, you know, the Kings, they gotta, like, it's one of those things where you gotta prove it to me first, right? But I don't know, the way they are right now. I mean, they're 3 games ahead of the Lakers, 3 less losses too, and they have the tiebreaker currently. So I don't know. I think that's probably like they'd be inserted in that spot. But then again, you also got a team. I mean, this transition's, I guess, good, but the next team, the Utah Jazz, I didn't expect them to be in this mix either. So
right. Yeah, I mean, it's still a long season as well. But the Kings have 11 victories. And again, like I sort of said this earlier, if you would have told me that on December 1st, the Kings would have 11 victories and they'd have the beam and everything, and they'd be winning games consistently. I mean, they're 7-3 in their last 10. And dude, on paper, they look really good. I mean, you mentioned like a Keegan Murray earlier. Harrison Barnes has been playing good for them. They have a guy that I really like, Davion Mitchell, solid lockdown defender. Some of their bench guys are playing well. Who am I forgetting about? They just got guys that can play.
Did you say Kevin Huerter? Or?
Yeah. Kevin Huerter. Oh, Kevin Huerter and steals of the offseason, man. And they're still so young.
And also, I feel like someone said this to me actually under one of my videos, not this week, but I think a week or two ago, but before that, like, they were talking about Terrence Davis and how underrated he is too.
He played really good against my Suns when they played us.
He dropped 31 on the Nets, I think, off the bench.
Yeah.
So he's underrated too.
And they're a good team, man. And, you know, think what you want of Mike Brown, but I feel like Mike Brown was a good hire for him. You know, he brings that like championship culture, the defense, and he just seems like a really smart coach. I've seen a few interviews with him and everything. Seems like a good guy and might be a good coach for what the Kings got going on right now. And I'm legit cheering for them, man. I know that I'm a Suns fan, but when I see a good team and a team has a good story and loyal Kings fans, you know what I mean? Like 16-year, or was it 16-year playoff drought? Like, let's end that already. You got good vibes going with the Kings, the Beam team. It's like, let's get it going, Kings. Got the Utah Jazz 13-11. They've kind of
I was just gonna say, I'm surprised that, you know, just how quickly the Blazers have fallen to 11.
Coach Evan B's in here. What's up, man?
Yo,
we shouted you out earlier.
Yeah, but no, I'm surprised just how quickly the Blazers fell to 11th. Well, they're 10th on your thing.
They started off so good, man. I'm assuming these are the updated. I'll refresh it, but
they just need Damian Lillard healthy. It's like the Clippers, but the thing is, like, the Clippers have so many guys that you don't need to depend on like Kawhi and PG to win games in the regular season. Like, even though the Blazers, you know, Simons has improved, Jeremy Grant's played great. Like, you do kind of need Dame if you want to actually make a push like that.
Facts.
So like you need Dame healthy. I don't know when he's supposed to be back. It said like a week or 2 weeks or something, but that was like a week ago. So
yeah.
It says he's looking to return on December 4th against the Pacers. So maybe, I mean, shouldn't be like out of time.
Hey, we had this conversation about Kawhi, and we talked about Chris Paul's injury. It's like, even though these players want to play, and it's like, we got to make sure they're 100% before they come back. But didn't Dame say something recently, like, if this was a playoff game, I would have played, or so he said something like that. I don't know.
Yeah. And I mean, the good thing is, though, for them, I mean, like, the Jazz have been falling. I mean, Karl Anthony Towns, like, he is injured, so that is probably going to help the Blazers.
And they've been struggling too. Timberwolves are.
And I mean, I probably trust the Blazers more than the Kings, like, when fully healthy, even though the Kings have been great. So I mean, there's a few spots that will open up most likely, but you just got to get back, and you can't get injured again. He's already had like 2 different injuries this year.
Dallas is 10-10. I sent you that tweet earlier about how the Mavericks look when Luka's off the court, and I pretty much yesterday on the show, I pretty much said, hey, it's pretty much all Luka, and he needs a lot of help, and maybe Kemba Walker can save their season, but that's probably not going to happen. Maybe the Lakers might sneak into the play-in. I mean, they've kind of been playing better, and
I feel like a fool now because I said this is like the year I had the Mavericks as the first seed in the West, and that Luka was going to win a very decisive MVP. But now it's like, I don't even know if they'll get in the playoffs. Like Coach Evans says, what if they don't even make the playoffs?
Yeah, what if they don't even make the playoffs, man? That would be something.
Yeah, Minnesota, the Warriors.
Can we give credit to the OKC Thunder? I mean, 9-13. I mean, that's better than
I mean, Shea, if it weren't for the Thunder playing, like, just being so bad record wise, I think Shea would be way up there more in MVP talks. I think he even still is probably like top 10 to most people, like right now or so, or very close to. But like, if their record was flipped, like he might be like top 3 or top 4 or something. Right
this
now.
Is sort of 2 questions in one. Speaking of SGA, is he an all-star, but is he the most improved player of the award, like the award winner this year? Like, if the NBA were to start the playoffs right now, would he be, an all-star? Would he win most improved player? What do you think? Sort of 2 questions in one, but
so I guess I'll answer the second one first. So for the most improved, I don't know. I mean, like, I think he's definitely a candidate, but I feel like for the most part, like, and I don't know, I guess last year it'll make me like look wrong, but historically speaking, they rarely ever give it to someone who makes like a superstar type of leap or something, right? Like, they gave it to Ja last year. I kind of thought that was like the wrong person to give it to, and even Ja gave his trophy to Desmond Bane last season, who
I saw that. I love Desmond Bane, man.
He might even be a candidate too, but also like you got to think like Lauri Markkanen, Bull, like you mentioned earlier.
Yeah,
there's a lot of guys. So
a lot of guys we're forgetting about.
I mean, probably if you're thinking about just the most improved as a whole, and in terms of like being an all-star, I think he's definitely an all-star this season. And it's kind of interesting because I was on the record. I think I even said it once on your stream. Like, I felt like I never thought he could be an all-star just because I didn't trust his mentality like that. Like, he didn't strike me as a guy who was like willing to put in the extra work. It kind of like struck me like Andrew Wiggins a little bit, like early on in his career. And I mean, granted, he didn't make an all-star team, but I think a lot of that was popularity too.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's kind of like a little different. But
he played like an all-star for the first half, and then fell off and all that. But
I don't know.
Pretty good first half of last season.
I think SGA will make it. He'll prove me wrong. And yeah, I don't know. I can't think of like 5 guards better than him this season in the Western Conference. I mean, there's Ja and Luka and Curry, but Booker, obviously, yeah. I was thinking point guard, so he kind of slipped my mind actually.
Yeah.
Why I'm here. No. But other than that, I mean, yeah, he probably would make it. Like, I'd give it to him over Paul George for sure, over Dame right now, even though Dame is great and when healthy.
Yeah, when he's healthy, he's all-star caliber.
But yeah, I mean, I think he should make it. over Chris Paul. I mean, just because Chris Paul's missed a lot of time. So
Yeah.
But yeah.
And you know what, man? I know you're a big NBA history guy. I love seasons like this. Like, again, like the Jazz were so good for the start of the season, and we're witnessing some crazy stuff right now. And even just that SGA conversation, like, I love storylines like this. I love the way the season started. There's a lot of middle of the pack teams right now, a lot of crazy, wonky records. I love it, man. This is why I have this channel, you know what I mean? Because I love basketball. I love the storylines, the records, and the teams and everything. This is such a great, crazy season we're witnessing so far. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, at one point, even the 2012 Bobcats were above 500, believe it or not. So anything can change.
Every time someone trashes the Bobcats, I'm like, you know what? At least they made the playoffs once.
Yeah,
you gotta give credit where credit's due.
They did win their first game that year. I feel like people don't remember that, and then they lost like almost the rest of them. But
right,
yeah.
Oh my god. Anything you want to talk about, man? Any final? I mean, we're at an hour 50. We can maybe go for 10 more minutes and make this a 2-hour show. So anything you want to talk about NBA related? Anything?
I mean, like, I guess just the Lakers, just because that's like the next thing. That's
anybody in the chat, by the way, if you got questions for us, get them in like right now. If you got any questions.
I just think the Lakers are kind of screwed. Like, what they need to, but no one's gonna admit it. Like, they kind of need to trade LeBron, if you ask me. You know what I mean? Like, he's clearly not the same player he used to be. That's not to say he's not still like a really good player, like an all-star caliber player, but he's just not the player he used to be. And I feel like with him, he kind of thinks he's still the primary option late in games too, and it hurts the team because it makes everyone just ball watch a lot more.
Hurts Anthony Davis too. Didn't Anthony Davis have a quote about that?
Well, AD was playing good too, like when he was out, and same with Westbrook. Like, I feel like, yeah, the team might actually play better because I feel like they play with more energy, more free without LeBron there. So get what you can for him. You know, he's probably going to leave anyways when his contract's up to play with his son wherever he goes. So I don't know.
I kind of want LeBron to go back to Cleveland when he is actually done. You know what I mean? Because that would just be a great feel-good story. You know what I mean? Going back to where it all started.
And Coach Evans said they can't trade him till basically after the season.
That's so long from now, dude. Oh my God, August 2023.
This season, anyways, is kind of a wash, I think, for the Lakers. Like, even considering they're gonna have Westbrook till the end of the year, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, maybe you can get rid of Westbrook, or you could bring him back maybe for a cheaper contract. I just don't know how much he's gonna be willing to accept, but I don't know. I think maybe you should trade LeBron then.
Speaking of August 2023, I don't know if you saw this earlier. Shams said that the NBA informed teams today that the 2023 season, 24 season, will start October 24th and conclude April 14th. And then he talked about the season tournament stuff. I don't even know too much about that, but any thoughts on that? Anything? It's good that the NBA is, back on track, if you will, especially this season, with the COVID and, all that stuff. I don't know. I just thought I'd bring that up to you real quick. I don't know if you saw that.
I don't even know what even is the in-season tournament, because I know they were talking about it, but I don't know what the actual format is.
I don't really know much either about it. I don't even know if I'm a fan of it because I don't like change, especially with the NBA. At first I wasn't a fan of the play-in tournament. Now I love it. But at first I was like, hell no, I don't want to do this. But I love it now. It makes teams more competitive, gives teams, a reason to play harder and try to make the playoffs. But
ooh, kind of breaking news by Shams too. He just said about 18 minutes or 19 minutes ago, Shams tweeted, "The Lakers are waiving wing shooter Matt Ryan."
No.
I mean, he hit a game winner. No. Or, well, not a game winner, but a game-tying shot.
Dude, that breaks my heart, man. Legit.
The first reply I see under it is someone said, "Bulls, please."
You think the Bulls would be interested in Matt Ryan?
I'll take him, honestly. We need 3-point shooters. So
when I had Reliable Rants on, he pretty much said that he wasn't playing just because he strictly is like a 3-point shooter. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying he doesn't do anything hard, like great in practice or anything, but
who on the Lakers can hit threes?
I know, right?
Like you kind of need him, like in a way. They needed him in that Pelicans game, otherwise they would have lost without him.
If you guys are still watching, and I don't want to sound like a Matt Ryan expert because I'm not, but pretty much, there's that famous story that he was like an Uber Eats driver or whatever.
Yeah, DoorDash.
I think he played a little bit in college and then was in the G League and Summer League, and it's a great story. He had that like emotional interview. That was so good to watch. It's like, dude, this guy worked his ass off. So to see that buzzer beater that's on the screen right now was freaking awesome, man. But that sucks.
Living my dream.
I know, right? Like, dude, like even before I started doing this YouTube stuff, and even now, like I have a job, like I pay bills, and it's like he's a normal guy like me and you, man. That sucks that he got waived.
Yeah.
Go get him, Phoenix Suns. Go get him right now.
Yeah, I don't know. I think Bulls could use him though. We suck at shooting. I mean, Kobe White's not the answer. So
shout out to my guy John from the Suns Jam Session podcast. John, you're the man. I got to get you on here. I know I always say that, but real life comes first. Schedules get busy, but would love to have you on. What's up, man? Once again, guys, if you got any questions, get them in right now. I think we have a question here from Mark Cooper. He says, do you worry that the Suns don't have a third consistent scorer besides Booker and Ayton? Bridges just can't get to the 15 or more every night. Key word in here, Super Mario, is consistent scorer. You know what I mean? Kind of makes a good point. But I would say this is that kind of like we saw tonight, we have guys that can, step up every night. Ayton had 30 points tonight. We've seen games where Mikal Bridges has like 30 or 25 or whatever it is, or like someone will go off on the bench, you know what I mean, and have a big scoring night. So I get Mark Cooper's question. I get it. And I don't really even know if I'm answering his question, but I don't know. You know what I mean? Like we have guys that can do it.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like personally, like I feel like Bridges has actually played pretty well.
So far this year. I mean, his growth offensively has been awesome.
I have his like stats pulled up too. So I mean, every year of his career, he's improved his points per game. He's shooting second to his career high in field goal percentage, but he's pretty efficient anyways, like 53%. Yeah. I mean, that's pretty good. I mean, a career high from three, a career high from the free throw line, career high in assists.
What he's doing from the mid-range too is incredible, man. He just looks so comfortable shooting that mid-range shot and driving to the basket. And
his mid-range was automatic. I think tonight it was. I think is that every shot he made? Like,
what are you talking about tonight?
Yeah, he made. I know he didn't play great. Yeah, he was 3 of 13, but his mid-range shot was kind of automatic. I think he made all of his, but.
Yeah, and I think I referenced one earlier. It was when like DeAndre Ayton had those like back-to-back slam dunks. Yeah, he only finished with 8 points tonight, 3 for 13 shooting, but you are right. It was the mid-ranges that looked really good. And he's done a lot of that this season, and it's really helped the Phoenix Suns. Sometimes at key moments, he'll put up good shots. And I don't know his percentage. I think, did you reference his 3-point shooting percentage?
Yeah, it was like at 44% when I was
checking. He is shooting the three more comfortably, more consistently as well. So, Mark, I hope that answers your question. I don't know. We have guys that can do it, but and who would we go get to be that consistent third scorer? I have no fucking clue.
I feel like
go get it done, James Jones.
Honestly, like I mean, Bridges. It seems like he's gonna keep getting better. Over time. So, I mean, and Aiden's already like he's improving in recent weeks too. So, and Booker's Booker. So,
let me see here.
The Bulls could use Lonzo Ball. Yeah,
Question,
I know.
Did you zipper break when Booker and Ayton combined for 81 points? What does zipper break mean? Seeing as your throbber went from 6 to midnight. So cool. What is he talking about?
Oh, I know what he's talking about.
I'm old. I don't know what he's talking about, man.
That's good.
Wait, I see what he's talking about. I read zipper break. I was like, what? I'm sorry. I don't know what I'm talking about anymore. He said DA and McHale both averaged 16 points. We good. As Eddie Johnson puts it, we're good, Suns fans. Relax. This comment though broke me, man. On that note, any final thoughts, any takeaways, anything you want to add? We're basically at the 2-hour mark now, so my brain is mush. And I only had one beer tonight, but my brain is still mush.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think there's anything really more to add. I feel
it's
like
been a good show, man. We talked about a lot. Anything you want to plug? Anything you got going on your channel? Any future videos? I mean, we just had our show, but anything you got going on, like behind the scenes?
Yeah, I will remind people, because this is about to wrap up. You can listen to us for about 45 or so more minutes on my channel. Just posted it today. The newest Bullony basketball. New stuff I got planned. Obviously, I got the show like every week, basically, but also like, I don't know, I might be doing some NBA talk videos upcoming. I got some ideas, but you know me, I like to think big. So a lot of my ideas usually take a lot of work. So but yeah, I don't know.
Appreciate everybody that was in here, especially if you made it to the 2-hour mark. I haven't done a 2-hour show in a long time. Appreciate you being here, Super Mario. I know that both of our schedules get a little busy.
Glad to
crazy. Thank you for sticking with me, man, and thank you for having me on your show recently. Thank you to everybody that was in here. Once again, you guys, do me a huge favor. Follow me on TikTok and Instagram. I've been uploading consistently to Instagram and TikTok and everything. It's a lot of fun. So go follow me there. Follow me. All the links are down below. Check out Super Mario Hoops, and I'll make sure to link our Bullony basketball episode, and I'll also make sure to link the athletic articles that we dove into today and that whole story if you guys want to read about that. So stay tuned for more videos, you guys. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Brandon, aka Suns Geek, and if it has to deal with the Phoenix Suns, I'm going to make a video about it. Do me a huge favor and Hulk smash that like button. Please subscribe, share the stream, and I will see you guys next time. Before we get out of here, though, let's play this Devin Booker drop one more time.
Devin Armani Booker.
And on that note, I'm out of here. Go Suns.